Hello, it's Melinda from Alexis and Melinda's Art Space. How you're going today? So today I've got an art journal page in my altered book. I don't even know what this altered book was called. It's got all buildings and stuff in it. Ancient India. Okay, fair enough. Ancient India we're working in. So just putting a coat of gesso over the pages. Sometimes I incorporate what's on the pages in my art journal pages. Other times I just cover it with gesso or with paper. Sometimes if it's just text, I'll leave that showing through. So today I'm doing what we call March 2023 Mission Inspiration. So while I'm drying off the gesso, if you haven't heard of Mission Inspiration before, it's an 8-step ingredients list to put on your page. And there's 5 prompts as well. So I'll type all these out in the bottom description box if you want to play along and make it. Mission Inspiration's been going for years and years and years. There's a Facebook group I'll link below as well. I don't run the Facebook group, it's just something I participate in. It's great when you want to do a page but you really don't want to think too much. You've got these prompts to sort of jump off. So the first prompt is, and you can do them in any order, I did a few in order and then jumped around. Glue map paper fragments to your page. So as you can see, I grabbed a London really old map and am gluing fragments to my page. So I'm using up some old Mod Podge, and I've actually, this jar's half full now and it's just getting really thick and globby and it's a bit shiny and I don't like it, so I've thrown it in my use it up bucket, or my bucket to do my next empty video. It just got too old and too gloopy and too thick, so I was determined to use it up, and then I was doing this layout and it got even worse from last time I used it, so I'm over it now. It's gone out of my stash. A bit sad, but that's the thing with anything liquid. You've got to get into your stash and use them up, because they have a shelf life. In my defense, this one was probably purchased 5 or 6 years ago, and it was sealed, but even sealed it just was going gloopy and hard. So ticking off the prompts as I do them and drying in between. So the next prompt was add white paint or gesso with your fingers. So I've grabbed, actually before that, I didn't like the shininess that the glue left, the Mod Podge left, and I'm not going to use Mod Podge again. I will not purchase it again. So I put some clear gesso over the Mod Podge just to take the shininess off, and also so my paint and other things would stick on top. You can still see a bit of the dark shadowing from the photos underneath that were on the page, but that's okay. You really can't see what it is. It's just a bit of sort of black shadowing looking at the end page. So just taking some gesso, I've just put it into a small Vegemite jar here in Australia. When my gessos get down to probably half a jar or a quarter of a jar, I'll scoop it all out and put it in a smaller jar, and that jar's getting quite empty as well. I go through a lot of gesso some days, and some days I don't. So just ticking off that one. Lots of drying in between. There were 5 word prompts for this as well, so you can go off the word prompts or the actual list of things to add to your page. So the word prompts are promise, mushroom, sketch, letter and building, and I sort of went with building, flipping through a couple of magazines and a pile of pictures I've taken out from books and found some, there we go, focal images. So I cut out my focal images and I'm just tacking them together. It said add 1 or 2 focal images. Now you can add more if you like. These are sort of, they're prompts, but there's no hard and fast rules with this Mission Inspiration. Do what you want with the prompts and interpret them how you want to. So I've got like 1 focal image, but it's actually 4 small images together. And another prompt was add colour through a stencil. So I've grabbed one of my stencils from my business. Not sure what this stencil's called. I will, if I remember, I will link it in the description box below as well. And I'm using some Tim Holtz and Dina Wakley paints, mainly because they're the colours I wanted. I sort of wanted earthy tone colours, so I think I've used Sedona, and it's a Tim Holtz red. I think it's rustic something. Hang on. No, I think it was Wild Honey. Wild Honey was the Tim Holtz one, and I think Sedona was the Dina Wakley one. And I sort of mixed those 2 colours together, putting them through the stencil. So giving it a bit of a dry off between. So this night I just wanted to sit and play. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so that's a great time to do a Mission Inspiration because it gives you jumping off points and you don't really have to think. This is another one of our little checker plate stencils, and again, if I remember, I'll link it below. If I don't remember to link them below, and you want to know which particular stencil on my website, leave me a comment and I will let you know. Sorry, back to it. So I'm going to glue my focal images down with some matte gel medium. I kept on having to stick things down on this page because I kept missing bits. I was having one of those nights. Some days when I have those days I shouldn't art journal at all, but no, I was having fun. And again, this little jar of little birdie gel medium is on its last legs and I'm trying to use it all up. If you hear a bit of noise in the background, my daughter is in the other half of the room playing with Lego, so you might hear click clank, and that's her putting some Lego together. So just, yeah, gluing down more bits. So another prompt was add outlines or shadows. So I'm grabbing my Stabilo All pencil, which is a water reactive, very inky pencil. And when you draw on your page and go over it with a wet brush, it actually turns into like inky blackness, and it really nicely creates a shadow. So a Stabilo All pencil is a really fun thing to have in your stash. And it just makes the printed images that you stick on your page not look so just stuck on, they look like they're a bit more grounded. And yeah, I was having issues with that glue. It's all stuck down now. I just kept adding glue after glue after glue. I was getting very frustrated having to keep going back to my glues actually. So just giving that a bit of a dry off as well. That pencil is always water reactive, so you just got to be careful. It either goes on first and you realise it's water reactive to do some scribbling in the background, or you put it on last and you know it's the last, or one of the last things you do. So another prompt that I had to do was make line marks with a straight edge. So I grabbed the spatula I was using and put it in some black paint and just did some line edges across the bottom and up in that little cluster in the top left hand corner. So I used to do mission inspirations all the time until they changed the format. They've gone back this year to the stepped format. It was just colours and inspiration of words and stuff. Didn't like it as much. It didn't sort of drive with me, or I didn't like the process of doing it like that. I had to think too much. So this one's add handwritten quote or phrase. So this is the page that actually inspired the page. So this says so much world, so little time, and it had one of the little pictures down the bottom of, I think it was India, and that sort of jumped off the page. So even though it says handwritten quote or phrase, I cheated a little and I did some hand doodling over the quote, which it's my page and I can do what I want. Isn't that the same? The one thing I didn't realise was the bluey purpleness of the background of these letters was nowhere else in my page, but I got to the end of it and I put a little bit of white gesso over the top. You'll see me do that in a minute, and then I just call it done. Art journaling for me is all about sitting down and doing the process, not the final event. You see my fingers going, I don't know what I'm going to do. Here we go, more glue. Use lots of glue tonight. So yeah, so for me, art journaling is all about sitting down, taking time out, having a play, getting my fingers dirty and mucky, and just having fun. If I don't like the page at the end, or it's not my favourite page, doesn't matter. I still have fun. So drying that off, and I then decide, this is the point where I decide that I don't like the bluiness of the words. I didn't really think about that when I was picking my colours. I picked the colours for sort of the buildings, but that's okay. I was having fun. So here I grabbed some more white gesso that I actually put back on my table where it was supposed to be, right at the back. So just trying to calm that bluey colour down. Off video I actually go around and retrace around the letters of the words just to make them pop out a little bit more, because that white gesso sort of pushed them back a bit too much. But I didn't trace around the dots, so the words are a bit more outlined but the dots are a bit more subtle. So and gluing more bits down. I don't know, I was having a bad glue day. So coming back to the end of the page, I will put some still photos at the end, or some close-up photos. Is it my favourite page? No. Did I have fun? Yes. This was done at 8-9 o'clock at night, so I just wanted to sit down after one of my busy days and just wanted to have a play. And I'll show you some, I'll bring it up closer to the camera and show you a few more details, and then I'll put some pictures at the end so you can see a bit more detail. There's some more bits coming off. I think that gel medium, the little birdie gel medium I used, is on its last legs as well and probably needs to go in the bin, but I sort of persist with things like that until I can completely get annoyed with them or completely use them up. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.